When is the housing market going to crash? Are we in a bubble? What is going on in today's housing market? Have you had these questions and maybe even more and wondering what exactly is going on and you want that information for yourself? I've got information for you today about our national housing market, and I'll be glad to share that information with you. Stay tuned. All right, guys, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your time. Let's get right into this information. Okay, let's take a general look at our national housing market. I'm going to show you this slide so that you can get a better view. But let's take a look at our snapshot of today's market with our year-over-year changes in key metrics. Okay, so looking at the slide, we can see that the showings have increased. Showings of houses have increased by 49.5%. Purchase applications have increased by 39%. Pending deals are down slightly by 0.5%. Existing home sales up 9.1% and new home sales up 8.2%. But if you keep looking, you can see where our problem has been lying, which is with our existing home inventory, where we are in a deficit nationally at 52%, down 52%. New home inventory down 4.6%. So you can see that inventory is still very, very low. We can also see that with the houses that have been on the market, they have been selling. But it's like, if you could imagine like a bucket or something, and in the bucket may have a hole at the bottom, You keep trying to fill this bucket and you're filling it, but as quickly as you're filling it, it's also going out the bottom. So in this housing market, it seems to be like as soon as a house come on the market, it's filtering out the bottom, and you try to put another house, you come in and it's going right back out. So that's kind of how housing market is. When the homes are on the market, they are selling. There's a hot market right now, but we're seeing that inventory, that deficit of that 52%. Now, when you look at these numbers as well, these numbers also take into account from when we were in the lockdown as well. So some of these things are reflective as well of that increase. It looks like a big jump because showings were not really going on during lockdown and stuff. So you don't having as many purchase applications during that time. So there is some factor in there regarding the lockdown as well that shows those numbers. But yes, overall in real estate, there is a deficit in housing inventory, down 52% with existing homes. Okay, so let's look at our interest rates. Okay, so for interest rates, to better get a clear idea, because people always want to know what is the current interest rate. And sometimes if you ask somebody that, you may get a drawn out kind of answer, I would say. But if you want to know for yourself, you can check out websites such as bankrate.com, which could give you great information specific to your situation and individualized toward you, so that you can find out what your interest rate will be. Just to let you know, when they do figure out your interest rate, there are certain factors that will go into that. So that's why sometimes people may be hesitant to say, but when you look at what will my current interest rate be, consider things like your credit score. What loan type are you trying to apply for? The loan amount you're applying for. Think about things such as the interest rate type. How much are you going to put down for down payment? There are several factors that will go into calculating your specific interest rate. So if you have a trusted real estate advisor like myself who work with a team, I definitely can recommend a lender to you who can help you with that and help you figure out what your interest rate will be and get you on the path of homeownership and helping you answer those questions. But you definitely want to check out specific to you in relationship to your situation. Okay, so with interest rates, we know that has been a factor affecting housing market and the demand and causing more buyers to flood the market and looking for homes that right now and there's just not a lot of them. Okay, so let's move on to talking about, let's look at this next slide here. Okay, let me pull that one up. Let's see, this slide here that talks about, this is a quote from Mr. George Rotiu, senior economist at Realty.com. So this quote from him says, home sellers and home buyers have gotten really used to extremely low rates. Rates even in a 3 to 3.4% range remain extremely affordable by historical standards. So that's another indication, though, that the interest rates are causing more buyers to come. And so the demand is very high. And they're just saying that anywhere within that range is considered affordable. That's according to Mr. George Rotiu. Okay. And then I want to show you also, let's see here, in this next slide. In this next slide, you're going to see the year-over-year changes in the housing inventory. And we can look specifically, or you can look specifically at your state. I'm in the state of Tennessee. So we can see in the state of Tennessee, the year-over-year change in housing inventory, there has been a negative 63.4%. So housing inventory is very low in Tennessee. And you can see the legend there, the graph of with that dark red color being at the top, or of how much of a deficit that we are actually in. And you can see that in Tennessee, we're down 63.4%. So wherever state you're in, you can see that on the map of how low the inventory is in your state. And you can see that that's basically across the board. We've got New York look like they're at a negative 12.6%, probably being the lowest on the map here. But overall, with the United States, we're down negative with housing inventory at 52%. So very interesting there. So when we look at house prices nationwide, we know that house prices have been increasing. And but we got to look at why do we have this lack of inventory? What is going on that is causing us to not have enough homes on the market? And that's a very relevant question. A lot of people ask, where will the next home come from? And so forth. So what will first-time home buyers do? There's a lot of people out here looking for homes that cannot find a home. And some of them are first-time home buyers wanting that American dream to have a home. And there's just no inventory. So what is causing that? Let's take a look at that, okay? So if we look at this next slide, here it says, let me get there, single family housing units completed. Okay, taking a look at this slide, we can see here that when you look at the range of time between about 2002 to 2005, you can see there was 4 consecutive years, 2005, 2006, there was 4 consecutive years in that range of record-setting number of units. You can see that in the red. So there was a lot more inventory during that time. So when you ask the question of, is this like the last time? Again, we can look and see what the data is just showing us. Always look at the data and the facts. Okay, so here we can see that there was 4 consecutive years of record-setting number of units on the market, okay? But when we look at the later price range here, the later years are here, okay? Between 2010, like 2020 in the green, we can see here there was been years where the housing inventory has been below average. 13 years, it says, of straight years below the 50-year average. So we're in a deficit that stretches years back. There's been a low inventory of single family housing units being completed. We just don't have the inventory there. Okay, so that's something to consider. That shows us that the inventory has not just gotten not just become low, but it's been low. And it's not like last time. All right, so as we look at the reasons or causes for the low inventory, a great place to start would be with new construction, because from the slide we see that there was much more inventory back during that time, during housing crisis, but now we don't have that much inventory. And to attribute to that is that the builders back then were building, but now they have not been building enough units or homes to keep up with the current population growth. So the inventory from their aspect that we had back then is just not there. They have not been building. I think that's been concerned because of new construction costs, and maybe that concern there, it has caused them not to build as much, but we still need that inventory. So builder permits now are going up, and we're starting to see it coming, but when you think about the last 13 years being below the 50, the average, but we're such a deficit that it's really going to take a lot to build up the inventory to, get it back to the level that it needs to be at, to give people a chance to get into a home, especially first-time home buyers, or even people who just, want to own a home, and give them a chance to do so, right? So yeah, we're going to have to be keeping an eye out for new construction. Definitely a factor as well. Okay, another area we can look at is cash out refinances. So we can see from this graph, it says home equity cashed out. Then we can see that in 2006, more home equity was cashed out versus 2020. So we can see that there is a difference there as well. So what is going on with the equity? Are people using their equity? What is going on there? All right, let's check out another factor of why this time is not like the last time. Let's see the differences, look at the data. Okay, let's look at this slide here. Okay, this slide, home equity cashed out. Okay, we're looking back in 2006. You can see here that the graph is showing us that there was 321 billion refinanced in that time versus in 2020, 153 billion refinanced. So you can see the difference there in the amount from 2006 to 2020. There's not been a lot of people taking out equity in their homes. Some people don't even realize the amount of equity they have in their homes, and they may be very pleasantly surprised. But at this time, we're not seeing people cash out on their home, and they're really keeping that equity in their home. And like I say, some of them don't even know that is there. But also, so let's look at this next slide here where we can see the tappable equity. All right, in the definition here, so for tappable equity, it says the amount available for homeowners to access before hitting a maximum of 80% combined LTV. So an example of this is if you purchase a $100,000 home, and let's say you owe $80,000. So you would have a ratio, the LTV would be 0.8, okay? So your LTV ratio, it looks at the loan to value. And we know that the value, the home equity has been increasing. So let's say whereas you got a $100,000 home back then, but now your home value is $200,000. Okay, so, and if you had $200,000, you owe $80,000, then it goes up, your LTV will go up to 0.8. So not 0.8, it goes down to 0.4. This one says, this is according to the Wall Street Journal. The residential real estate market is on its biggest tear since 2006, just before the housing bubble burst and set off a global recession. Yet in nearly every meaningful way, today's market is the inverse of the previous boom. In the mid-2000s, loose mortgage lending standards enabled borrowers with poor credit histories to purchase homes beyond their means, sometimes with mortgages that required low payments in the early years of the loan. So even like back then, such as things with the loans, they may have started out paying low, but then that may have changed according to that type of loan or what have you. So there was a difference there, that loans were being made to people with poor credit histories. The pre-qualification of them getting a loan probably wasn't up to par, so they had poor credit histories and to purchase their homes, and they were still allowed to purchase and started off making low payments in the early years of the loan, and then boom, they couldn't afford their homes anymore. Surprise, surprise. So things went or different back then. Okay, so this is according to the Wall Street Journal. So nowadays we have more pre-qualification or more stages to people being pre-approved for loans. So when you look at this next slide, let's go to this one. All right, I'm going to read what this says first about NAR. This is from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. With demand for homes outpacing new listings, buyer competition continues to intensify. On average, there were 4 offers per home sold back in February, according to NAR's latest February Realtors Confidence Index report, a monthly survey of realtors about their transactions. Okay, let's see. It says the intense competition has led to double-digit price growth, okay, and property selling in record time. To get back to a healthy supply level equivalent to 6 months of monthly demand, an additional 2.7 million homes should be on the market for sale. So that is showing you, even just to catch up, we need to have 2.7 million more homes. That's how much of a deficit we are in inventory. Okay, and this is according to the National Association of Realtors. But what it is also showing you in this quote from them is that even though like back then we had like 2 or 3 buyers for every home that was on the market, today there's usually an average of 4 offers on the market, which some homes are having many more offers, but an average of 4 offers are being made on a home. And this is leading to like, price, whatever is listed at, you're seeing way more, the house sell for way more than the listing prices in some of these cases. Like, the homes are selling, they're not sitting on the market long in today's market. Okay, so we're still trying to figure out here now, is this like the last time? So let's look at this graph here. Annual home price appreciation. When we look at 2002 to 2005, you can see here the average annual appreciation was 10.3%. When we look at 2017 to 2020, although we see a little spike there in 2020 with 9.2%, the average from 2017 to 2020, the average annual appreciation was 6.3% versus the 10.3 from 2002 to 2005. So we can see the difference there, that house prices are appreciating, but they're not at that appreciation rate that it was back then. Okay, so we talked about how the home borrowers, people who are trying to buy a home, back then the requirements were not, they were lending to people with poor credit histories, and different things were going on. So, but now let's look at what's going on today versus then, as far as borrowing. Okay, so this graph shows us default risk in the mortgage market. So we're seeing in this graph the product risk versus the borrower risk. And you can see back in the time of 2006 or so, you can see that there was a very great borrower risk there. There's a huge borrower risk there and product risk. But when you look at 2020, you can see that the product risk is virtually eliminated. And then with the borrower risk, we have cut down so much of that borrower risk there by adding different things of helping people to get pre-qualified and checking into their financial situations to make sure that they can handle this mortgage. Okay, so that's the difference. The borrower risk is cut down dramatically, and there's virtually no product risk. Okay, so that's a difference that is in today's market versus then. And we can also look at our next slide here that shows months inventory of existing single family homes for sale. So we can see that this graph is showing us that back in 2004, you see to 2007, there was an increase in the inventory of homes. Not only was the inventory increasing, but the price value, remember from the other slides, was increasing as well. But when we look at 2017 to 2020, we can see that not only do we not have inventory, we have price appreciation, but nothing like it was back then. So these factors matter, and we need to look at what was going on then versus now. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to show you like this slide here. We're looking at home equity. And it's just saying how American home equity skyrockets. Right now, $26,300, the average gain in equity of mortgage homes. And then we can look at the current average equity of mortgage homes is $204,000. 38.2% of all homes are owned free and clear, and 16.2% increase in equity, totaling over $1.5 trillion in equity. So people have great equity in their homes right now. So what is all this information telling us? So when we look at all these factors, what it's telling us is this, okay? First, let's start with price appreciation. We saw that the price back then appreciated on average 10.3%. The last 4 years, we were about 6%. So that's not like last time, okay? With borrowing, when people were trying to borrow to get a mortgage, just about anybody was able to get a mortgage. You didn't have to have a great credit history or anything. They would give you the mortgage, right? So, but now we have more qualification and things in place before we allow people to get a mortgage. And so when the borrowers who do qualify, they're actually qualified to get the mortgage, okay? So we've eliminated that brought the borrower's risk, decreased it a lot, and we've eliminated the product risk. So this is not like last time. Okay, again, when we look at the inventory and the price appreciation now versus then, back then, we had increased inventory and the price appreciation was there. It was increasing as well. Now, we don't have the inventory like that. So decreased inventory and price appreciation, okay? So that's not like last time, right? So back then the inventory is less. Back then the inventory was more, and the price was appreciating. And now the inventory is less and price appreciating. So today's inventory across the country has been decreasing, causing prices to increase because, again, going always back to our supply and demand, we don't have the supply, low supply, increased demand, increased price appreciation, right? So the market today is very different than it was back then. And all we're doing is just looking at the numbers and the figures and the data from then to now to compare the times, right? So there's a dramatic difference. So please don't let the headlines and everything get you all in a bunch of stuff. If you're in the market to buy a home or to sell your home, you want to connect with a trusted advisor, a real estate professional who can help you along the path. The housing market, yes, it is a little crazy right now, I understand. And this information hopefully helped to show you that this time it's not like the last time. So we can see those differences in our market today. And I hope you have enjoyed this National Housing Market Report. I do plan to put out the local Memphis Housing Market Report where I zero in on our Memphis information and what our market is showing us to better help people who live in this area as well. And I hope this information has been beneficial to you. This resources and the information that was shared in this video, you can see the references in the description, and or I'll put them at the end of this video as well so that you can see them there. but so that you can know that there's real data and you can see where it's coming from for yourself, so that you can prepare yourself to buy your home or sell your home, and just help you along the way. So I thank you so much, and you guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye now.